When you find yourself in a situation where both of you are doing no contact, the first thing you need to understand is why this approach works and why it's not something to be feared. Many people panic when silence meets silence because they assume it means the other person doesn't care, that they've been forgotten, or that the connection is dead. But in reality, no contact is one of the most powerful tools in relationships precisely because it creates space for emotions to settle and for attraction to rebuild naturally. It allows both people to take a step back from the intensity of emotions, from the arguments, from the confusion, and from the overthinking. And in that space, clarity begins to form. You start to see things more clearly, and so does she. Think about it this way. When someone is too available, too present, and always reaching out, it creates a sense of pressure. It doesn't give the other person the opportunity to miss you or to truly value your presence. Silence, on the other hand, creates curiosity. It makes her wonder what you're doing, how you're feeling, whether you're thinking about her, or if you're moving on. Those questions trigger emotions that she cannot ignore. This is why no contact is not just about ignoring someone. It's about giving both people the chance to feel the natural pull of attraction again. If she's also doing no contact with you, it's not a sign that she's lost interest. More often than not, it's her way of testing the dynamic. She may want to see if you'll chase, if you'll break down, or if you'll lose your composure. But if you stay strong in your silence, you communicate something very powerful. You show her that your world doesn't fall apart without her. You show her that you're grounded, that you respect yourself, and that you're not going to beg for attention. And this energy shifts the balance in your favor. It's important to realize that attraction grows in absence. When you're not talking every day, she has to rely on her own thoughts and memories of you to fill the silence. And the more time passes, the stronger those memories become. She remembers the laughter, the fun, the little things you did that made her feel special. She starts comparing you to others, and that comparison often works in your favor because time has a way of amplifying the positive while softening the negative. This is why no contact works both ways. It allows her to miss you just as much as you miss her, but here's where most people go wrong. They break the silence too soon out of fear. They assume if they don't act, they'll lose her forever. That's the exact opposite of how attraction works. The moment you chase, you relieve her of the silence, and she no longer has to wonder about you. The mystery is gone, and with it, the magnetic pull that was building up. So when both of you are in no contact, your job is not to crack first. Your job is to remain calm, composed, and focused on your life. That's when she starts to feel the weight of your absence, and that weight becomes unbearable until she makes the move. Because when you truly understand why no contact works both ways, you stop fearing silence and start trusting that it's in that space where real attraction grows. When she's not reaching out and you realize that both of you are locked in silence, the natural temptation is to sit there waiting, checking your phone, replaying conversations in your head, and wondering when she'll break the ice, but that mindset is the trap. It puts your focus on her instead of on yourself, and the more you wait around, the more powerless and desperate you begin to feel. That energy is never attractive. The truth is, the best thing you can do in this situation is to shift all of that attention inward and use the time to work on becoming the strongest, most fulfilled version of yourself. When you stop obsessing over her absence and start pouring into your own growth, something powerful happens. You begin to detach from the need for her validation, and you regain your emotional balance. Instead of thinking, "Why isn't she calling me?" you start thinking, "What can I build today? How can I improve myself? What's the next step in my journey?" That mindset shift alone changes the energy you give off, and she'll feel it even in silence. Self-improvement isn't just a cliche, it's the foundation of attraction. Imagine spending this no-contact phase working out consistently, eating healthier, dressing better, and carrying yourself with more confidence. Imagine diving into your passions, advancing your career, or picking up a new skill you've always wanted to learn. That not only makes you feel better about yourself, but it also makes you more magnetic when she eventually does think about you. Instead of her remembering the guy who was needy, anxious, and always waiting on her next move, she remembers the man who had his own path, his own drive, and his own life. There's also a psychological element to this. When she realizes you're not chasing, not begging, and not sitting idle, it forces her to evaluate her own feelings. She starts to wonder if you've moved on, if you've outgrown her, or if you're happier without her. And that question creates tension, which leads to curiosity, which ultimately reignites attraction. But this only works if you're genuinely investing in yourself. Pretending to be busy or faking improvement won't create the same effect, because true growth radiates from your energy and your actions. On a deeper level, focusing on self-improvement gives you a sense of control. You can't control what she does. You can't control when or if she reaches out, but you can control your habits, your mindset, and your daily actions. And when you commit to that, you stop feeling like a victim of silence and start feeling like the architect of your future. That control is powerful because it makes you less emotionally dependent on her choices. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You're choosing yourself. And paradoxically, that's when others are more likely to choose you too. Think about it. When you see someone thriving, confident, and passionate about life, you can't help but be drawn to them. Their energy is contagious. That's exactly what happens when you stop waiting and start growing. You create a version of yourself that not only makes her think twice, but also attracts new opportunities and people into your life. It's a win regardless of whether she comes back or not. Because when you focus on self-improvement instead of waiting, you stop giving your power away, and that shift makes you infinitely more attractive. When both of you are locked in silence, one of the most important things you can practice is detachment from the outcome. This doesn't mean you stop caring, or that you cut off your feelings completely. It means you refuse to let those feelings control your behavior. It's about mastering emotional self-control, staying grounded, and projecting calm confidence even when uncertainty surrounds you. That's where real strength lies, because anyone can act composed when things are going smoothly, but it takes discipline to stay centered when silence feels heavy. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means apathy or indifference, but in reality, it's about freedom. It's the freedom to care deeply about someone without being enslaved by the need for their response. When you're detached from the outcome, you're saying to yourself, I would love for her to come back, but if she doesn't, I'll be fine because my life is bigger than this situation. That attitude communicates strength, and strength is what creates attraction. No one is drawn to someone who looks emotionally dependent, but people are naturally intrigued by someone who seems whole on their own. Now, the tricky part is how easy it is to slip into anxiety when she's not contacting you. Your mind starts racing with thoughts like, what if she never calls? What if she's moved on? What if I've lost her forever? Those thoughts stir panic, and panic leads to weakness. Weakness shows up in texting her too soon, calling when you said you wouldn't, or even worse, sending emotional messages that reveal your insecurity. The moment you do that, you hand her all the power. You relieve her curiosity about you, and instead of feeling drawn to you, she feels repelled by the neediness. This is why emotional self-control is so critical. Staying composed doesn't just protect your image, it also protects your heart. When you detach from the outcome, you're not riding the roller coaster of highs and lows depending on what she does or doesn't do. You create emotional stability, and that stability becomes magnetic. Think about it. In a world where most people are reactive and desperate for attention, the person who stays calm under pressure always stands out. That calmness is a rare energy, and it's irresistible. Another benefit of detachment is that it allows you to fully focus on your life without distraction. Instead of waking up each morning hoping to see her name on your phone, you wake up ready to conquer your goals. Instead of checking her social media, you're working on your fitness, building your career, or pursuing your passions. That shift in focus not only builds your confidence, but also makes you genuinely less dependent on her. You stop waiting for her to fill your life with meaning, and you start creating that meaning yourself. When she eventually senses or sees that shift, it makes her curious. She begins to wonder why you're not chasing, why you're not breaking down, and that curiosity plants the seed of attraction again. Detachment is not about being cold or shutting down your heart. It's about holding your feelings with maturity. You can still want her, you can still love her, but you don't let those desires dictate your actions. You let things unfold naturally without trying to force the process. That's the art of staying strong in silence, and that's what makes you more attractive than any words, messages, or grand gestures ever could. Because when you detach from the outcome and stay composed, you reclaim your power, and that quiet strength is what makes her feel the pull to come back. When you're in a no-contact situation and both of you are silent, patience is one of the hardest yet most crucial things you must practice. Silence can feel unbearable. Every day without a message or a call feels like a test of endurance. Your mind wants to rush in, break the silence, and get immediate reassurance. But attraction doesn't grow from pressure, and relationships don't rebuild through force. Patience allows the dynamic to breathe. It gives her the room to feel your absence, to reflect on her emotions, and to miss you in a way that words cannot create. Without patience, you sabotage the very outcome you're hoping for. When you rush the process, you're essentially saying you don't trust it. You don't trust her to think about you. You don't trust the attraction to rebuild. And you don't trust yourself to handle the silence. That communicates weakness, and weakness kills desire. On the other hand, when you practice patience, you show emotional strength. You're saying, I can handle this. I don't need to force anything. I believe that if it's meant to be, it will unfold naturally. That calm, collected energy is far more powerful than any text or phone call. It shows her you're a man who is not controlled by fear, and that makes her respect you more. The silence between you and her is not empty. It's working in ways you can't always see. Every day you don't reach out, she has more time to notice your absence. She feels the contrast between when you were there and now that you're not. That gap creates longing. Think about the times you've missed someone deeply. Was it when they were always available, or when they were absent and you felt the void? It's always the absence that fuels desire, but this effect only works if you let it. If you break the silence too soon, you interrupt that process, and she never has the chance to truly miss you. Patience also allows you to grow during the silence. Instead of obsessing over her, you can invest in yourself, sharpen your focus, and strengthen your mindset. Every day you practice patience. You're not just waiting, you're building resilience. You're training yourself to withstand discomfort without giving in to impulse. And that skill will serve you not just in this relationship, but in every area of life. Patience is discipline. It's a sign of maturity. It communicates that you're not a boy who needs immediate gratification. You're a man who can handle delayed results because you understand that the best things are worth waiting for. You also have to remember that she may be feeling the same pull of silence. Just because she hasn't broken it yet doesn't mean she's forgotten you. In fact, the longer she waits, the more that tension builds. That tension is what will eventually drive her to reach out. But if you cave in first, you rob her of that experience. She doesn't get the chance to come to you on her own. And when she does reach out, it won't be because you pressured her. It will be because she genuinely felt compelled to. That's the kind of contact you want, because it comes from her desire, not from your need. So patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about trusting the silence, trusting yourself, and trusting the natural flow of attraction. It's about letting time do its job instead of trying to force results. It's about holding steady when every part of you wants to cave in. And it's about realizing that strength isn't proven in action alone. It's proven in restraint. Because when you are patient with the silence, you give her the space to miss you. And that space is what makes her want to come back on her own. When you find yourself in a no-contact situation where neither of you is reaching out, it's easy to slip into the mindset that she is your only option, the only source of happiness you'll ever have. That belief breeds desperation, and desperation leads to chasing. But the truth is, one of the most attractive things you can do during this silence is to stay open to other possibilities. This doesn't necessarily mean jumping straight into another relationship. It means reminding yourself that your happiness is not tied to a single person. It's about living from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Scarcity says, if I lose her, I'll never find anyone like her again. Abundance says, if she doesn't come back, someone else will value what I bring to the table. And this shift in perspective is powerful because it changes the energy you project. When you operate from scarcity, you cling, you overthink, and you radiate insecurity. But when you operate from abundance, you're relaxed, confident, and easy to be around. That relaxed energy is what draws people in. Staying open to other possibilities also prevents you from putting her on a pedestal. The longer you sit around obsessing about her silence, the more your mind exaggerates her value. You start convincing yourself she's perfect, that you'll never feel this way again, and that you need her to feel whole. But when you step back and explore other opportunities, whether that's dating new people, spending time with friends, or investing in new experiences, you remind yourself that connection, attraction, and love can be found in many places. That mindset frees you from obsession, and ironically, it often makes her more likely to return. Think about how people respond when they sense they're not your only option. They feel a subtle pressure to step up, to re-engage, to prove themselves worthy of your attention. On the flip side, when someone feels like you've put your entire world on hold for them, they feel no urgency. They know they can take as much time as they want because you'll still be there waiting. By keeping your options open, you create healthy pressure. You show her that while you may care about her, you don't need her for your happiness. That independence is magnetic. And here's another truth. Staying open doesn't just affect how she sees you, it affects how you see yourself. The moment you realize you have choices, you carry yourself differently. You walk with more confidence, you speak with more assurance, and you naturally stop overanalyzing everything. That shift in your energy makes you more attractive not just to her, but to everyone around you. You stop giving off the vibe of someone desperate for validation and start radiating the energy of someone who is already whole. Even if you don't actively pursue anyone new, simply knowing that you could if you wanted to is enough to change your mindset. It keeps you grounded in reality. It reminds you that you're not powerless, that you're not at the mercy of one person's silence. You're choosing to wait, but you don't have to. That choice gives you strength, and strength is what fuels attraction. So staying open to other possibilities doesn't mean you don't care about her. It doesn't mean you're betraying your feelings. It means you're living in balance, you're allowing life to flow instead of clinging to one outcome. And from that place of balance, you become infinitely more attractive because you're no longer a man who needs to be chosen. You're a man who chooses himself first. Because when you stay open to other possibilities, you free yourself from neediness, and that freedom makes you far more attractive to her and to everyone else around you. When you're caught in a no-contact situation and you're wondering whether she's also doing the same thing, the biggest temptation is to break it. The silence feels uncomfortable, your mind plays tricks on you. You start to believe that sending just one message, making just one call, will fix the uncertainty and put your heart at ease. But this is exactly where most men go wrong. They let impatience drive their actions, and instead of strengthening attraction, they weaken it. The truth is, the most powerful move you can make in this moment is to trust the process and stay consistent with your boundaries. Consistency is not just about holding back communication. It's about holding firm to the version of yourself that you're trying to become. No contact isn't about punishing her or playing games. It's about creating space for her to miss you, for you to regain clarity, and for the dynamic between you to reset in a healthier way. Every time you cave in and break it, you undo all the progress that silence has built. You teach her that your words mean nothing, that your boundaries are flexible, and that your self-control can be shaken when emotions rise. But when you stay steady, you show strength, you show emotional discipline, and discipline is incredibly attractive. What most people don't realize is that the silence itself communicates. When you don't reach out, you're sending a powerful message: I value myself, I won't chase, I won't beg. I trust that if this is meant to be, it will come back on its own. That message sinks in deeper than any words you could send, and here's the beauty of it. The longer you maintain consistency, the more she begins to feel the weight of your absence. She starts to wonder why you're not breaking, why you're not showing signs of weakness, why you're not falling into the pattern she expected. That curiosity builds attraction. Trusting the process doesn't mean you sit in silence doing nothing. It means you use this time wisely. You invest in your health, your purpose, your passions, your social life. You focus on becoming stronger, sharper, and more grounded. That's what gives the no-contact period its power. It's not the absence alone. It's the transformation that happens within you while the absence is in place. So when or if she comes back, she doesn't find the same man she left. She finds someone better, and that shift can reignite the spark in ways chasing never could. The challenge is that trust requires patience. Patience feels uncomfortable because it asks you to surrender control. But attraction grows in space, not in pressure. When you consistently hold your ground, you give her the chance to feel her own emotions, to reflect on her own decisions, and to come toward you freely rather than out of guilt or obligation. And that difference is everything. Relationships built on guilt don't last, but relationships rebuilt on genuine desire can thrive. Think about it this way. If you break no contact too soon, you're planting a seed and then digging it up to see if it's growing. You don't give it time to sprout. But if you water it with consistency and patience, it has a chance to grow strong roots. That's the mindset you need to adopt. So the final key here is simple but not easy. Stay consistent, trust the process, and let the silence work for you instead of against you. Because when you honor your boundaries, you communicate strength without saying a word. And that strength is what makes her far more likely to come back with genuine attraction.